Thank you, President Zimmer, my fellow honorees, Maureen, Tom, members of the Board of Trustees, administration, faculty, staff, family and friends, and of course, the graduating class of 2022. To my family here, it is only going to be doctor on the weekdays. I'll still answer to Adrian on weekends, holidays. But to the class of 2022, you did more than endure these treacherous times over the past 4 years. You excelled. What an incredible honor to share this day with you, to celebrate your achievements. And just think now, here's the end of these historic, unforgettable 4 years. And for a commencement speaker, you get the guy who finds out first about the NBA trades. I do have some news. Jaron, Kyle, Asun, we traded back for you. Iowa State and Florida, so we'll see you guys back opening night next season. Proud of you guys, proud of you gentlemen. And listen, class of 2022, don't worry. While I am an experienced reporter, I promise I will not tell the administration about those secret parties you held off campus during COVID. I won't tell them about the shrewd move of handing in your phones at the door to keep photo evidence from surfacing on social media. Nor will I share your less than shrewd habits of leaving trails of red Solo cups all over yards in Allegheny. After all, I am a proud alumnus of the BV, and that information remains off the record this morning. Your journey at Bona has been unlike anyone's before you, testing you in ways that none of us who came before could have ever experienced. There is little any of us can impart about these last few years that hasn't already been taught to you. Qualities like adaptability and persistence, tenacity, and empathy. Definitely empathy. There should be a celebration today, and it is. And yet I know so many of you come here having endured individual and family heartache in recent years. And together, our Bona community shared in the sadness of losing our president, Dr. Dennis DePiro, a prince of a man, a brilliant, fearless leader, a consensus builder in a time of so little consensus. Dennis first asked me to be the commencement speaker for the class of 2020. Of course, the pandemic caused that ceremony to be canceled, but the university wanted to try again that fall. Well, July of 2020 came, and I got into some trouble at work. It was pretty public and pretty embarrassing. 2-week suspension, no pay, and if any of you someday aspire to have Donald Trump Jr. mock you on social media, I'm the guy with the blueprint. But one of the calls that came in the ensuing days was from President DePiro. The only thing I wanted to tell him was that I understood if he wanted someone else to give this address. But I didn't immediately answer his call. So he shot me a text message. I still keep it in my phone. It read, "Know all of us here at Bonaventure stand behind you. And with that said, I continue to look forward to giving you an honorary doctorate and having you as our commencement speaker." I regret that I never told him what that gesture meant to me, but I'll tell you today what it meant. everything. Whatever I've done to earn the privilege of standing before you today, it's because 31 years ago, I sat where you're sitting, and I felt what you're feeling. The pride of this accomplishment, the gratitude for those who helped get you here. Pride and gratitude, that's how you're supposed to feel on graduation day. But if you're anything like me, you're feeling some uncertainty too, some doubt, anxiety. I wish I could tell you that goes away, but I'm not sure it ever does, especially in the world that we've left you. You'll need to draw upon your preparation, your values, and your belief in both yourself and your vision for the life that you want to live. That's what carried me, and that's a big part of why I chose St. Bonaventure. I needed someone to believe in me. I needed confidence. I needed a community. Looking back, I appreciate so much more of what this magical place did for me. When I needed counsel, Father Dan Riley's door on 4th East Dev was wide open. When I needed tuition money to return for my junior year, Mary Pacholi unearthed a few $100s more in financial aid, and MJ Telfer slid me some cash above and beyond my work-study check with the women's basketball team. When I needed a summer internship, Chris LaPlaca, class of 1979, offered me one in my hometown of Bristol, Connecticut at ESPN. I wanted to be a sports writer, and I left behind a Francis dorm room with dozens and dozens of rejection letters from newspapers all over the country taped to the wall. I had $15 in my pocket and 4 bald tires on my rusted out Chevy Citation on the drive back to Connecticut with my diploma. Ask your parents about a Chevy Citation. Google it. It was a sweet ride. But I was on my way, and so are you now. I want to share 2 moments with you that remain with me as the most central to my professional life. Back in 1997, I had come back east at a newspaper columnist job at a suburban daily in the New York area. Every morning on the sports pages, I had to go up against a lot of my heroes and idols in the business, and they were crushing me. I tell myself it couldn't get worse, and then it did. Day after day, story after story, I was getting destroyed. It got so bad, I woke up on a Monday morning, and I would not get out of bed. I just laid there for hours, and I told my wife, Amy, I am failing. I can't make it in this market. I can't hang with these guys. I remember her standing beside the bed, rightfully tired of my whining and excuses. And I would tell you, make sure you surround yourself with truth tellers, with those whose love is unfailing and honesty unflinching. In so many words, she told me, get your butt out of bed, stop feeling sorry for yourself, and go do your job. Well, I got my butt kicked on press row that day, and the next, and probably for several more weeks. But I started to chip away. Progress starts with a single step and another. Progress comes with the confidence that gathers when you have a passion for what you do. Progress comes when you're putting in the work, when you're honing your craft, and making sure you're ready when that chance comes your way. 10 years later, I had to do just that, take a chance. I made the decision to leave that newspaper columnist job and do something a little unconventional. Take on a role as an NBA insider for an internet web portal called Yahoo Sports. I told my newspaper editor that news, and he responded, "Good luck, but I'm afraid no one is ever going to hear from you again. I wish I could tell you I walked away thinking, hey, I'm going to show this guy. But I had no idea. I knew I sensed the opportunity of a lifetime, and I knew I'd outwork anybody they lined up against me. And here I am at the commencement ceremony for the St. Bonaventure class of 2022, heard from again. And here we... And here we are together on Bob Lanier Court, just days after our most famous, most influential, and perhaps our most beloved alumnus passed away. And here we are a day after an insidious mass shooting in Bob's hometown and many of yours in Buffalo, of a racially motivated mass murder. The older many of us get, the more we can mythologize this place. But it isn't perfect. No place is. At its best, though, Bonnet is always striving. It is growing, it is evolving, it is getting better. And at our best, so are we. For a moment, rewind to 1968. Bob Lanier visiting the second dev room of one of his older teammates, Jim Saddlein. Bob was from Bennett High School in downtown Buffalo, and he described to Saddlein and a few of his teammates what it felt like to be a young black man on an almost entirely white campus at that time. Most of those in the room listening to Bob had come from small upstate towns and had never been exposed to anything or anyone who could relate them to the black experience in America. I called Coach Saddlein on Friday to ask him about that conversation in '68, and he recalled it like it happened yesterday. One of Bob's teammates described it as a seminal moment in his entire Bonnet experience. For all of them, it was the beginning of learning how it might feel to walk in another man's shoes, even if those shoes were size 22s. Beyond the genius of Bob Lanier's Hall of Fame career, he spent 4+ decades as the global ambassador for the NBA. He traveled to the far corners of the globe, becoming the face, the narrator of the NBA's Read to Achieve and Stay in School programs. He preached education with that NBA logo, and it reached and touched and transformed children everywhere. Bob would walk into auditoriums with thousands of students and classrooms with just a few students and deliver the most powerful of messages. Each time with the exact same enthusiasm and energy. So remember Bob Lanier for electrifying millions as one of the great players in the history of the game. And remember him too as the sophomore opening up his heart and opening up young minds in a second-floor Devereaux dormitory room. All of us need to remember that someone else's experience may not remotely resemble what we imagine it to be. Listen and love. Bring with you the indomitable spirit of this university, of your class, the class of 2022. And I'll leave with you today the words of Father Dan Riley on a Saturday night this past winter, leading us in a blessing at where else, of course, but the Burton. Father Dan said, "We are Bonaventure wherever we are. We know it by the way we are with each other." That's true of the campus as well. This isn't Bona's because it's there. It's Bona's because we're there. Take all of this with you, class of 2022. Go get them, guys. Thank you, and go Bonnies.